Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Tomasz Koper, sitting in for Divya Gopalan. Is your profession in danger of being replaced by an algorithm like mine? It seems the world can't stop talking about artificial intelligence. To some, machine learning tools like OpenAI's ChatGPT have the potential to remake the world. To others, they're just buzzwords. But whatever you think, these tools are having a real and measurable impact right now. We connect to Dr. Lun-Wei from Taipei and Dr. Anirban Mahapatra from Washington, D.C. Anirban, you're a scientist and also a science communicator, science writer. So let me start with the basics. Why should we care about ChatGPT?
I think the writer Douglas Adams made a very whimsical comment that anything invented after you're 35 is against the natural order of things. And ChatGPT seems to be against the natural order of things for those of us who are above that age. I am in general, skeptical of all grand claims made for artificial intelligence and what it can do. But ChatGPT does genuinely seem to be impressive. And the reason I say this is because artificial intelligence has been around for decades. There are many applications of artificial intelligence, but ChatGPT, if you recall, was released last day of November of last year, and it immediately created waves because it captured the zeitgeist of the world in a way that no other technology had. And so we had over 100 million people become monthly active users in a very short amount of time. And that was because, first of all, because of the interface. Like anyone could get on that site and interact with this. And we saw that almost immediately with teachers at first, as a first group of people saying that now all of our students are going to start cheating and using that. But it's only been a few months since this was released, and people are finding new uses for this. So I would say that's why I would say it's a disruptive technology, because of how it's captured the zeitgeist and the myriad ways that people are using this technology.
Well, Lun-Wei, you are with Academia Sinica. You are a professor and a researcher into artificial intelligence and language models. So let me ask you this. With this technology already out and in existence, why does Taiwan want to build its own chatbot?
For the large language models here, we need to understand that actually it's training. In the training process is look at so many articles and data, but these articles and data are fed in by researchers and by people who create them, and their answer will depend on these data. So that means these answers could be like cultural different, or depends on your perspective, or depends on the most important, what this model has read in its training process. So that's why I think some of the people in Taiwan, they think because Taiwan has such a special status in this world, so we kind of want to keep our unique mindset, if you want to say that, in this problem. So that's why many people think that we should have our own language model, or like something like ChatGPT. Especially one thing that you might know, that we actually are the places, one of the places in this world that we have much more disinformation, misinformation.
Yeah. And we will discuss misinformation and disinformation in just a second, but let me bring it back to a bit more general perspective. We've been talking about AI for a long time, but suddenly with this new tool, this word has acquired new meaning. Why is this such a big deal right now when for over a decade we've had AI this, AI that? Anirban, what do you think?
Well, I think one of the main aspects of this is that it touches so close to home for people who are so-called cognitive workers, who are white-collar workers. So a very recent study predicted that around 80% of the jobs in the United States where I live will be impacted in the near future by AI, and in particular by language learning models. Now, obviously, this was misquoted by parts of the media as saying 80% of all jobs will be gone. Now, that's not true. Some of the jobs will be gone, but some of the jobs will change over time. But this is a very large number. So I think there have been many waves of disruption of jobs and changes in worker productivity going back to the Industrial Revolution. But through most of these transitions, so-called knowledge workers always could value their skills in the ability to create new forms of art, to create words, and much of what we communicate and express in terms of what human intelligence is through words and through art. Now, that feels very much under attack because of ChatGPT and its capabilities, not just to pick up text, which is what search engines did in the past, but to generate text that looks like it was created by an intelligent human being.
And Lun-Wei, do you agree with this assessment? Are we looking at another revolution on par with electricity or the internet? Or is this going to be somewhat less impactful?
I think from the current trend, we can also see that the impact is going on. That I think the most important is that it's really easily accessible for like general people. Like we can use it every day. We just need internet. And now after the internet revolution, of course, most of people have the internet access. I will have to say people like to save effort in their everyday life. So I think this gonna be something that we cannot return back because it's just cost you like so less time and money, and you can get some easy answers from it. So that could, speed up your work efficiency and life efficiency and everything. So I feel this is the most important reason why everyone wants to use it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's bring it back to a more domestic perspective. It seems that developing language models like ChatGPT and other tools in the AI field is a priority for Taiwan. And it looks like some of the country's best talent are taking the challenge head on. We spoke to Ethan Du, the founder of Taiwan AI Labs, about the country's efforts to develop its own chatbot.
Those in charge of large-scale language models can also affect the output. That's why China blocked the American ChatGPT. They believe that ChatGPT was trained on American data, so it naturally reflects American culture and thinking, which may not be in line with China's national interests. In contrast, for China, they can train a chatbot that aligns with their socialist values. As you can see, in the field of technology, the platform owners will have the power to shape the conversation. So in order to protect Taiwan's advantage in certain fields, we need to develop our own talents or have the ability to design our own language models. I am optimistic about this idea, and I believe it's something we should have.
Lun-Wei, do you share Ethan Du's optimism?
I think half-half. Well, I feel like, of course, we have this need to devote to this artificial intelligence technology, just like the other countries in this world. But also, we kind of already realized that these technologies now needs a lot of resources to develop. That's why most of the players now is like big companies. I'm happy to see, and I'm optimistic, really, to see that we will have good AI technology. But I think we need a good plan for future, how we should develop these technologies like step by step in order to keep,
You mentioned the resources needed to develop this kind of technology, and we've hinted at China being sort of the other competitor for the Chinese language chatbot. Can Taiwan compete with the amount of resources and talent that China could potentially pour into a project like that?
Well, this is a tough question, but I feel confident that we can compete. I mean, the problem of resources is not like, do we have enough resources? I think it's, do we have, or do we want to continue investing these resources in all the AI development? So about talents, I think there's no problem about talents. I think there are a lot of excellent researchers and people in Taiwan, of course, and we actually have developed a lot of new novel stuffs from Taiwan. So no problem with that. But I think for a good AI future, we need really continuous investing resources.
And Anirban, Ethan talked about how those who control the tool can influence the output. And many others have also talked about bias in chatbots. How serious of a problem do you think this is?
This is very serious. I think as Lun-Wei mentioned early on, that the nature of the response depends on the underlying data set, the computing power, the filters put in, and then there's a level of human curation and sort of a retraining and assessment that goes on after that first pass of the information is done. So in the absence of that, what these language learning models do is, because they're not trained for accuracy, they're trained to mimic the process of language and how language is generated. The language is correct, but the information may not be factually correct. And so there could be processes by which large amounts of language and text, I think as was mentioned, is like we're getting text for free, but we don't know the accuracy of that text, especially if it's trained on data sets that are inaccurate or skewed towards certain regions. So in the absence of factual data, because these use a statistical model and probability, what the chatbots will do is they do something called hallucination, which is they will provide a confident and plausible answer that is completely inaccurate, and sometimes that are made up. And a subset of that is now what researchers are calling hallucitations. So you can ask it to draft a research article. It will create a completely fake research article with citations that are absolutely made up. Those citations do not exist. And all of this looks very, very genuine. So that's part of the problem. But we can easily imagine cases where fraudulent information or information that can cause someone to lose their job or have criminal proceedings against them can happen because of hallucination of a powerful chatbot.
Okay, we've talked about bias and disinformation and misinformation a little bit as well in language models, but that's far from the only issue with the technology. Over 1,000 technology leaders have recently called for a pause on research into AI tools. They cite privacy concerns, willful disinformation, and misuse by users, among other reasons. We reached out to Professor Frank Pascal from the Brooklyn Law School and asked how we might be using ChatGPT the wrong way.
Lawmakers are right to be concerned about deceptiveness, right? For example, a potential mental health therapist, or are people going to use it in that way and say, hey, I can, base my mental health care or chatbot on this underlying model, and then market it as something that it's really not, because it's not been trained on any particular, mental health tools or things like that. It's modeling how to produce fluent language, but it doesn't really care in many contexts whether what it's saying is true or helpful. It just wants to be able to give you some feedback that will look like human feedback.
Lun-Wei, in light of what we talked about, do you think that the future of knowledge workers is to become fact checkers for tools like ChatGPT? Is this what we're going to become?
I hope not. But I think we will need to have these thoughts in mind that we always need to check the information from now on. I mean, like from the web revolution, we already know that something on the web is not necessarily true. But we need to keep in mind that machine can generate real information and fake information, but people can also generate real information and fake information. It's not the problem of machine and people. It's more like we really need to think about if this information, this piece of information is real or not.
Anirban, are you afraid of a future where algorithms make decisions based on erroneous information, give the people who make decisions the wrong information, and cannot be made accountable?
Absolutely. I worry about that. I think at a first level, I will also agree with everything that was said here. Like, we've never seen this type of misinformation that can be created. If it's deployed at a mass scale, it's not one person or even a few bots doing this then. Somebody with malicious intent and just a small amount of money can throw all of this information out there at a very sort of massive scale. So that's definitely something that I think we have to worry about. But again, the other points around specialized skill sets, so law, the practice of medicine, engineering, these are professions where it's not just the output that is important. It is the person who makes the decision and their skills and their ability to make that decision. That if we run a thought experiment about people in accidents causing fatalities, driving cars themselves, versus the prospect of a machine, a self-driving car, that is a different situation of AI. But when that does that, because it doesn't have autonomy, and we don't know the thought processes and what happens in that set, I think people would not be willing to accept that. And we're already seeing that. It's unfortunate, but people will accept decisions from humans that they will not accept from machines. And I think that's what I would posit right now.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned legal responsibility in there because as we come to rely on machine learning tools like ChatGPT more and more, we have to ask, are our legal systems ready for this shock? For an answer, we reached out to Professor Mark Schoep from National Yangming Jiaotong University in Taiwan.
If you're using ChatGPT in like teaching and learning and research and writing, in those areas, it's really kind of self-regulated by the industry and like standards of universities. So in that sense, universities are playing catch up. So the law is kind of there in many ways. So in the patent sense, where at least in the United States, they're saying no, ChatGPT can't be named on a patent application. For other things like privacy, unfortunately, kind of like wait and see kind of what the issues are going to happen. So the law is definitely not there yet, but that's usually kind of normal in terms of technological advances, because technology advances really quickly, and the law is always kind of playing catch up.
Anirban, are laws doomed to lag behind technology? I mean, lawmakers being a few years or a decade behind developments in technology may have worked during the Industrial Revolution, but these days it seems like every 6 months there is a new algorithm, a new tool that flips the world on its head.
So in the broadest sense, laws, I think, will always lag technologies like this because we don't know what the use cases are in all of these cases. Like what people will use them for, what nefarious or misinformation or harmful means that they can be used for. But I will say that different countries have taken a sort of a different approach. United States has taken a very laissez-faire approach of, because of its historic interest for free speech and for innovation. On the other hand, the European Union, there has been regulation around characterization of various kinds of risk, so low risk or high risk. So you cannot use these types of things for police profiling, etc. And I think in China released a draft AI regulation in April. And as of now, I believe that everything has to be registered in China. So there are various approaches that countries are taking.
Speaking of local approaches, Lun-Wei, what kind of changes to the law in Taiwan would you like to see to prepare the country for this coming chatbot revolution?
I think from my observations, we more care about the privacy and the data preparation. And we actually, like in our research community, our National Science Council, they put a lot of effort in managing and checking the data, how researchers really get for research. And we also refer to the European and American laws about the privacy and data collections. The problem here I can see is that researchers in general are not expert of laws, and the lawyers and the people who do the regulations, they not really know so much challenges as we face in our research. So I feel like to make it better situation, like everyone can really do good research, researchers will need to involve more experts from the law areas to their projects. That's what I think.
Well, finally, to balance out today's serious discussion, we bring you a bit of entertainment, AI-powered entertainment. Many jobs, as we've discussed, are in danger of being replaced by algorithms, but stand-up comedians don't seem to be one. For proof, we asked one of Taipei's top comedians, Sam Yarbs, to tell a few jokes written by ChatGPT to an unsuspecting audience. And here's how that went.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very talented Sam Yarbs!
Hey. Thank you so much. Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Thank you guys for coming out. This is beautiful to be here, man. Thank you guys for coming out. This is awesome, man. How about being in Taipei, man? Make some noise for Taipei. How about living in Taipei, man? Oh my God, man. Taipei is crazy though, man. Taipei is hectic, man. Taipei, man. Talk about the city that never sleeps, man. City that never sleeps, dude. It's wild. Have you guys seen these scooters out here? This scooter is crazy, man. It's crazy. It's like a swarm of bees. Yeah, you got to be pretty quick on your feet. You might get flattened like a pancake, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. A night market? Hey, don't even get me started on night markets. Whew. Night markets, man. It's crazy. They're insane. They're insane, man. Too many people, too much food, too many smells, right? Like, look, I like stinky tofu just as much as the next guy, all right? But sometimes I feel like my nose is gonna fall off. Yeah, man, I don't know, man. But hey, I do love Taipei. It's a city of opportunity, man. City of opportunity. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Absolutely, man. Just the other day, get this, man. I saw this guy, he was selling umbrellas during a typhoon. That's what I call entrepreneurship. Hell yeah. Thank you. All right. I got to be honest with you guys. I did not write those jokes. Those were not my jokes. Those were, of course, written by Dave Chappelle. Those were Dave Chappelle jokes. No, those jokes were written by ChatGPT. Those are ChatGPT jokes right there. That whole script, even the motherfucker I threw in, that was ChatGPT. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a thing. They're trying to make us feel better about eventually being taken over by our sentient robot overlords by being like, but they can't write a knock-knock joke yet. So anyway, I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. I think we can do better. Yeah, that long weekend. Did you guys have a good tomb sweeping day? Did you have a good tomb sweeping day? Was it a happy tomb sweeping day? Happy tomb sweeping day. I love tomb sweeping day. It's my favorite holiday. I love Tomb Sweeping Day. That's the most Taiwanese holiday there is, by far. That's just the essence of parental guilt. It's amazing. Your entire life, your mom's yelling, you go clean your room, go clean your room. Finally, she dies. You're like, peace at last? No, clean my tomb. Like, never stops, man. I don't mean to be rude, though. I don't mean to be rude, host country. There's one holiday I think is way better. Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is way better. It's way better than regular New Year, man. It's far superior in every way, man. I love it. Regular New Year's is so boring. What year were you born? I was born in 1980. Shut up, you're boring. It's boring. What year were you born? I'm a dragon. Yes, me up, man. Blue shirt, what are you, my man? What's your animal?
Rabbit.
You're a rabbit. Oh, okay, yeah. That's a pretty animal. I'm sorry. That's a bad one. It's not a good odds. You got two. You got dragon, you got tiger, and then 10 animals. It's not a good odds, man. I'm this guy who didn't make yours try to sound better, right? I hate when people exaggerate their zodiac. People try to make them sound cool. Be like, what year were you born? I was born in the year of the ram. I'm a ram. It's like, you're a sheep, mother. Calm down. Nobody says, I'm an ox. Shut up, cow. You're a cow. All right. Anyway, thank you guys very much. I hope we got it. All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
That's unfortunately all the time we have for this episode of Connected. Thank you to both my guests, Dr. Lun-Wei in Taipei and Dr. Anirban Mahapatra in Washington, D.C. And thank you to our audience. Thank you for your company. Goodbye and stay connected.